What's going on, everybody? Jahmai Webster, Julian McWilliams here, CBS Sports national baseball writer, here with you on 310 The Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. And we're coming to you from New York City today. Julian, I think you might be in Harlem, though. Harlem Renaissance for Julian, but I'm in Manhattan, and we just got off the longest 9-inning Red Sox game of the season in typical Red Sox Yankees fashion, 3 hours, 25 minutes. Have you recovered from that this morning yet, Julian?
Almost. Yeah, that game was probably one of the worst games. Thank God for the Roman Anthony home run because
We're looking at 15, 16 innings probably if he didn't come through there.
but it was there were no storylines because both teams were just terrible. I mean, you had the pickoffs at third base, the 3 errors in the same inning. So yeah, I'm recovered as recovered as I can be, I think, right now.
Well, we're back at it again. Another 3-game series here tonight. This game's on Nesson. Max Fried versus Walker Buehler?
No, Brian Bayo.
Brian Bale, that's right. Brian Bale. Yeah,
Man.
hey, I'm just waking up. I'm waking up. Yeah, slap myself. Let's get going. But one of the storylines pregame was Jhostynxon Garcia being called up, the Red Sox number 3 prospect, 77th overall in baseball. Access granted because his nickname is the password. He's logged into the show. So pretty cool nickname, one of the best in the game between AAA and AA Worcester. He played 99 games. Hit 289 with the Woo Sox this year and showed some power, 20 home runs. Didn't get in the game yesterday, so still yet to make his major league debut. But
I think he's
Alex
likely to
Cora
start.
did say, yeah, Alex Cora did say yesterday he'll be playing in the outfield, one of the outfield positions. They feel comfortable with him anywhere, but primarily right field in Worcester. What do you like about this kid? How much does this signal to anything? Obviously, Wilyer Abreu placed on the 10-day injured list, retroactive to August 18th with the right calf strain. So this was the move to get him up to the big leagues. So who knows how long he'll be here, but he showed some promise. Obviously, number 3 prospect in the organization.
Yeah, I think at this point in the season, though, Alex Cora is kind of like, geez, I lost Wilyer Abreu, right? And calves
Mm,
can sort of be tricky more than anything because, those, as we've seen in other sports, calves sort of lead to Achilles and in some cases, and you just want to sort of avoid that with Wilyer. So
yeah.
what, how you pronounce his name? Justin, what Garcia brings, I'll just say his last
Jhostynxon.
name. Jhostynxon.
Yeah,
Jhostynxon.
it's
Okay.
actually it's a lot of consonants in there and vowels, which kind of confuse it from my experience because you got the S T X Y and all these different letters, but it's actually pretty simple. When I heard him say it, he was talking to Bradford, another friend of the program in spring training, trying to get all his
Yeah,
teammates to pronounce his name, and he said Jhostynxon Garcia. So that's where I picked up on it.
that's not that hard. Jhostynxon. No, but look, he's a guy that brings power to them. I think Cora said he chases a lot, so
Yeah.
he'll swings a lot. He's aggressive, and I think he just gives them some a little bit more length to their lineup right now. Right, I think they're this for what it's worth, the Red Sox haven't really been able to drive in runs like that. Right, like last night they were 3 for 19 with runners in scoring position, and eventually those type of things come back to bite you. Lucas Giolito only goes what 4 and a third inning or 4 2/3 inning, something like that. He couldn't get the last out, and now the score had to go to his bullpen. So I think if you're looking at this team, sometimes rookies can provide a little bit of a boost to a lineup. We think we saw that a little bit with Roman Anthony. Obviously, Roman is a different level of player than Jhostynxon, but I think if we're looking at it holistically, we're looking at a player that can contribute while Abreu's on the IL, and hopefully be able to slug because the Red Sox don't hit that many home runs. Wilyer Abreu leads the league, leads the team, excuse me, with home runs
And
with I believe
homers.
20. Huh?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. I
No,
was just looking
you
it
know
up.
he
He leads the team with homers. having
leads
a
the team
power
in home.
surge this year.
Yeah, and they haven't really they don't really have that guy that can hit homers by the bushel since Rafael Devers left. So hopefully he can make up some of that. And for William Bray, hopefully he's not gone off on the IL for too long.
Yeah, it's interesting because initially when it happened, talking to Willier after, he felt like it wasn't going to be an IL stint, just more precautionary. He was tagging up on a sacrifice fly off the base, kind of felt it, let up a little bit, but proceeded to run to get to the dugout and afterwards. And then I checked on him, the trainers, our guy Brandon Henry and his crew. And then Alex was like, yeah, he should be okay. And then the next day it was like, oh, a little sore. We'll see how it goes the next few days. And then boom, IL stint, which is, as you mentioned, these soft tissue injuries can kind of linger in that way because, the initial injury happens and obviously a lot of adrenaline running and you're fighting through it. But then over the forthcoming days, that's when you start to feel the soreness, the tightness, and it's hard to really break it up in there. But it's August 22nd now. And he said it was retroactive to August 18th. So maybe by the 28th, next homestand, at the end of this road trip, when the Red Sox host the Pittsburgh Pirates, maybe he's back and he'll be back in there. But in the meantime, talking about Garcia, he's filling the hole in a spot, stacked outfield right now. Alex really didn't put a positionally where he'll play. As we said, he played a lot of right field in AAA. Where do you see him fitting in with Jarren Duran out there, Cedon Rafaela, and some of the other outfielders the Red Sox have, Roman Anthony as well, because you got to keep his bat in the lineup. He was the story yesterday, able to really propel the Red Sox to victory.
Yeah, I heard. I talked to a scout yesterday at Yankee Stadium. He said, from what he's seen, keep him at the corners, keep him out of center field. He said keep him totally out of center. Like he can play it, but like that's not who you want in center field. So, I mean, I see it as a fourth outfielder situation, Jahmai. Like I don't really think it's going to be a guy that's being come up here expected to be like that big of an impact player to the degree of William Bray or even to the degree of say how Roman Anthony or even Christian Campbell when he came up. I don't think they see him as like this sort of this everyday guy now, considering they have one of the better defensive outfields in baseball, and with Willier there, obviously now it's taking a hit, but even still, like they have a stacked outfield with Rafaela, with Jarren, and then with my mind is slipping me with I can't
Roman Anthony.
Yeah. So I think, and then he might play. He might seem a little bit probably when Cedon plays the infield or plays second base, then you could swap him over to left field, move Jarren to right. No, I don't
Center.
think you want to do that. Move to center.
Jarren to center.
And Roman,
yeah,
Roman and left. I mean, right. So Roman right, Jarren center, Jhostynxon and left. So I think it could probably work out like that. But I don't think this is a guy that's expected to come up and be this impact player, because certainly you really can't expect that with rookies in the first place, right? I think Roman is sort of this unicorn of a guy who I think is having a stellar season, and I think he's going to continue to stack stellar seasons and be that impact player. It's rare that you see that when these guys are this young.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about the Abreu injury slightly, or actually, I don't want to posit the question in this way because I want to get your take on what you think it is. But the fact of the matter is, William Abreu being unavailable is a reason why he came up to the big leagues. Do you believe, or how would you characterize it? Was he rushed a little bit, or you think he can still get some more seasoning in the minors? Is he a finished product? Obviously, number 3 prospect in the organization, top 100 prospect in baseball. You talked about some of his impact or your expectations, but is he big league ready? Even though we've yet to see him playing a big league game, do the tools tell you that he can compete and he can be effective at this level?
Yeah, I mean, I think how old is he now? What is he? I'm looking right now. 22. Yeah, I mean, look. He spent five
Yeah.
seasons in the minors, right? I mean, he got here in 2021. I'm looking at his page right now, and so I think if you look at that, yeah, I mean, it's probably is they need him, right? They need players. They need bodies, and I think if you're looking at him now and you're saying, he's not ready, when it's like, well, when would he be ready? But it's like you kind of you need him right now. It's not like a Christian Campbell situation where Christian was totally rushed, right? Christian only
Hmm.
had 150 minor. He didn't play 150 minor league games, right? He only
Right.
played 1 year of college baseball because one season he redshirted. Second season, I believe, was a COVID year. Third year, he was draft eligible. So, and then so basically, you're taking a guy out of college who's 1 year removed from college, put him in 150 minor league games, and all of a sudden he's playing under the bright lights at Yankee Stadium. It's like that's a lot. That's rushed. But with a guy who has 5 seasons in the minors, I think it's totally okay for him to be here at this point because I don't know who else they have, frankly, to bring in to be able um, to help the situation. They're reeling a little bit in that realm, in that aspect.
Yeah. Garcia, 355 career minor league games. So you mentioned it over that 5 years, 875 OPS this year. So I think the power stroke could play and it can provide some pop, maybe not to the level of a
Yeah,
Brady, but
I mean,
he has.
probably the walks. I mean, probably is
Mhm.
the 875 OPS. I mean, you got to keep in mind that's at Worcester too, where the ball flies, right? The 20 home runs. I mean, we saw
Yeah,
Jaron Durant and Barry Bonds out there, right? So I think
that
we got
that
to
is
be
true.
take that into account. And the 363 on base, okay, slug, okay. So yeah, he might be able to do some things, but I think you got to take the power for what it is saying Worcester, the ball really flies there, and it's going to be a lot different at Fenway Park. I think that's why they tell the right-handed hitters to pull the ball because you got to be real, real strong. He is real strong. He can get it out there, but we saw that we only saw a couple people in our time, Jahmai, be able to go to right field that were right-handed hitters. JD Martinez is the one that comes to mind for me, and probably your boy JD. You saw him play all those years,
Mhm.
uh, and he's a guy that can sort of dump the ball into the bullpen out there. But it's few right-handed hitters who can do stuff like that, and I think he's going to have to for the power to play here consistently. He's going to have to pull the ball.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the approach that he's going to have to take to be able to have success here with the Red Sox and do the things that they have been seeing from him in the minors. But another right-handed hitter that came to mind who was able to do that, deposit those in the bullpen back at 18, Steve Pierce, another guy that comes to mind um, who was able to have that success, just like JD. But talking big picture now, Red Sox made some other roster moves as well yesterday, and a surprise one, maybe to some, considering how long he had been on the roster to this point is Red Sox infielder Abraham Toro. He was designated for assignment, and the Red Sox recalled David Hamilton back to the big leagues. So Hammy's back. Toro DFA'd. We'll see what happens. Maybe he clears waivers. I think there probably is a team that can utilize him who's in the playoff hunt because of his versatility. He is an experienced big leaguer when you consider his level of veteran status on this team, 3, 4 years. But having done it before and really was good for the Red Sox this year, which move do you think, to the bigger picture of what the Red Sox have, will be most felt at this point? I mean, Toro, he probably would have been a great bench piece, but Hammy's speed and athleticism came into play even yesterday, right away.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I like David Hamilton as a person, but I just don't think he's a big leaguer. I don't think he's. I
Mm.
like it. Can talk about like the speed and all that stuff, but I think you need somebody over there. Like it just seems like he's just a track star, and then I mean, I just like it's just baseball, right? And I like him, but we have a job to do. But the Abraham Toro was not good in the second half of the season. And so I could sort of see that, in particular with them getting Nathaniel Lowe now,
Mm-hmm.
that really impacted that. And then you can have Romy play second base, and then have Nathaniel Lowe at first base. Experienced player, experienced bat, right? It has won a World Series 2 years ago, so knows what it takes to play in postseason baseball. I think you need sort of those guys like that, and that was a huge pickup for them. I mean, even last night he had the RBI double into the gap,
Yeah,
and he
gap
just seems
shot.
really short swing, a guy who can sort of put the ball in play when need be, just a veteran. So I don't know if this I don't really think the Abraham Toro thing really has an impact. It seems like Bregman can play third base um, pretty much every day, and you could swap in Nate Eaton if you need to put him there on a day if Bregman needs a blow, but he doesn't seem like a guy who needs a blow. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't really think there's anything that impacts them. I will say this though. I think the fact that Alex mentioned the fact of Walker Buehler perhaps not making his next start on Monday is what fascinated me the most yesterday, more than anything, because I mean, here's a guy that they brought in this year expecting to be like their number two starter behind Garrett Crochet, but he just hasn't been able to get it done. So that might have some impact too, right? Because who do you bring in this place? Cooper Criswell is obviously not available. I don't think he's on the injury list, right? I believe so. Richard Fitz could possibly, fill into that role.
He's back.
Hunter Dobbins. So I think when you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, maybe they'll use him out of the bullpen, or maybe it might be a DFA situation. I would be shocked by that because I think they need bullpen arms. But then again, it's a numbers game. A matter of fact of who you can keep, who you let go. So we'll see what happens. I think that can have some sort of impact because Walker, he's a veteran arm.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. He was very perturbed following his last start. Called it embarrassing, and really didn't I guess play into the
Somebody
question
asked him
and
a question
answering portion. Yeah,
about spinning his wheels. Are you just spinning your wheels here? He's like,
yeah.
really, bro?
Not to be, he said, not to be an a-hole, but what do you think, bro? And that was
Who
another one
asked
of
him?
our colleagues. That was Mass Live's Chris Catillo. So that was our colleague at Mass Live, but we'll get to that in a little bit more. We're going to dive more into this Red Sox Yankees game one here on the other side of the break, and talk about Roman Anthony and his big shot as well. Plenty more to come here on 310 to Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. We'll be right back after this short intermission.
310 to Left is presented by your New England Ford dealers, who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 310 to Left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
Oh no. Back here on 310 to Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. Jahmai Webster, CBS Sports national baseball writer Julian McWilliams here with us. Red Sox just pushed their season lead over the Yankees to 6-1, another win tonight, and they would win the tiebreaker, which is super important. But it all came really making a change off the bat of Red Sox rookie Roman Anthony. His ninth inning homer, able to welcome himself into the rivalry's first career game at New York, and really showed how beloved he is over there right away. Nice bat flip as well. Pretty incredible from the young kid. What do you think about his performance, his growth and confidence over his month or so in the big leagues, Julian, to this point?
Yeah, Jahmai, I don't know if it's me or you, but you're somehow the audio is getting choppy. But if you can hear me, I think what stands out to me is that he's just a guy that is. I mean, he's just cool. He's just cool, right? He's just nothing seems to get in the way of who he is as a player or who he is as a person.
Yeah.
Even huh? He came out the dugout yesterday, and he just seemed to be a guy that was. It was just another game, and even the hit to the left side where he scored the run. I believe David Hamilton scored from second on that, and they tied the game. He just went with it, right? And then the Duvall homer, the bat flip you talk about, he's getting comfortable, feeling himself a little sure. That's not necessarily who Roman is, but it was necessary for that moment because, I mean, that was a pivotal part of the game. Adding on those runs, you never know what could happen in the ninth inning, particularly with that short porch in right field at the heart of the Yankee order up. And that just seemed to deflate the entire stadium, right? People started exiting at that time. But what stands out to me is just the slow heartbeat, man. The pitch taking, he does not chase at all, right? Like we're looking at a guy who is 21 years old, and teams are nibbling, trying to get him to chase stuff off the plate, and he just doesn't go for it. And he's doing damage with stuff inside the zone, right? It's like one thing, and I mentioned this on Nesson the other day, is that when Tristan Casas is a guy who we know has great plate discipline when he was healthy. We know that about Tristan. He probably didn't swing outside the zone, or he didn't swing outside the zone much. But with Tristan, sometimes he would miss pitches in the zone, right? And so it was either be a walk or a strikeout. With this guy, he's taking pitches off the plate, but he's not missing pitches in the zone, right? And so it causes for it to be just a hellhole, for lack of a better word or phrase, for the opposing pitching staff, because you got Anthony at the top of the lineup who doesn't chase, and then you got Bregman right behind him, who's the right-handed hitter. He doesn't chase. So a pitcher might look at a situation where they're up to probably 15, 16 pitches just in 2 at-bats from the rip. And Luis Hill didn't have it last night. He and this is just solely because of Bregman and Roman, but they certainly played a part in it. But he didn't have it last night. And in the first inning, he had like 28 to 30 pitches, right? And I think that's a trend that we're seeing a lot with teams that come in and play the Red Sox, is they're going to throw a lot of pitches in that first inning, it seems. And for them to be able to not set the tone and walk guys early on, get guys on base and create traffic for the people behind them, it's huge. I haven't seen any 21-year-old that I've covered. Obviously, we've seen there have been others across the league. Bobby Witt's at a different level. James Wood, like, different level, like, what I think, like, those guys are Bobby Witt particularly is in a class of his own, of a player. But I haven't seen a player that I've covered that has had this type of impact this early. Jahmai, he's one of their best players. He might be their best player right now.
Yeah.
Right? And
it's just scary.
And that's not a slight on the Red Sox, and not saying they're not talented. It just speaks to how talented this kid is and how talented he's actually been so far this season. It's been really, really fun to watch. And I'm not necessarily a guy that like really loves prospects. I think we sort of put too much stock into prospects, and I think it has sort of hurt our game where a lot of these guys, most of these guys will not pan out, right? There's a chance that Christian Campbell. I spoke to someone, and they was like, you'd be lucky if you get one of the 3 that are good, right? And right now that's holding up to. I'm not saying Christian can't become that, but right now that's holding up to be true. One of them is an absolute stud. One of them is a bona fide guy who you think is going to win Silver Sluggers, maybe MVP votes. If he the defense plays a little bit more, I think that's probably where he has to improve the most, if you ask me. is defensively. He looks a little shaky going back on fly balls. He sort of opens up and backpedals in the outfield. You can't backpedal because you can get burned on the ball over your head. But if you're looking at him just as a player, it has worked out to this point. And my gosh, that $130 million right now is looking like a steal. And that's $130 million.
Right. 100%. And obviously, Christian Campbell sent down back to the minors to work on pitch recognition, being able to get to a certain amount of pitches, seemingly doing that to this point. Although Alex Cora says there's still more work to be done with there. And then Marcelo Meyer, one of the other big three, has this injury history now that's kind of followed him, has not been able to play in more than 100 career games in a season, which is starting to become a trend and a knock on him.
What'd your boy your West Coast native Kendrick say? Mother F the big three. It's just big me. That's calling right now. It's big me.
Yeah, that's very true. And all it is Roman Anthony right now. So see if those other guys can get together. Marcelo did have successful surgery to repair TFCC, which I guess is a small tissue ligament that,
surgery.
I mean, well, I'm just saying the technical aspect of it. He did say, right. So he had wrist surgery to keep that thing in line because he hurt the same wrist back in 22. And I guess at that particular time they said, hey, this might be something eventually that you end up getting surgery with, but you can try to play without it, or try to play without going that route. And he did for 3 seasons. So got a cortisone shot, got another one this past couple weeks, didn't take. So he's out for the remainder of the year. And we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Roman Anthony, an absolute stud. And his big 9th inning home run was fantastic. You mentioned Nathaniel Lowe, who the Red Sox acquired after he was designated for assignment by the Washington Nationals. But again, another guy who has a proven history, having done it, won a World Series with the Texas Rangers. He was obviously in the division for a long time, drafted and developed by the Tampa Bay Rays. So familiar with this game. I like the compact swing, and it reminds me, it's a little more, it's much more fluid, but it reminds me a lot of another first baseman that the Red Sox acquired last season. And now the name is slipping me. It's killing me right now. You know who I'm talking about? Not Dom Smith, but he came from Miami Marlins. And his swing was just like it was like an upswing, and it was slow. But when he made contact and when he finally got into a groove later on in his tenure with the Red Sox, he was actually pretty efficient. But at first, he just looked like he was swinging underwater. And part of that was because of some injuries too. He had a couple of times where his hand was hit, and it took him a while to just get into a playing rhythm with the Red Sox, and it was sporadic starts, platooning at first base with Dom, and really not getting his opportunities in DHing. No, he was a lefty.
Right? He's a lefty?
He was a lefty.
From the Miami Marlins?
From the Miami Marlins, which is where he
was traded?
No, he was. What, was he traded or was he picked up off waivers? I can't remember. This is killing me now. I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm gonna just look it up. Well, I'm talking about, but my point being, Nathaniel Lowe's swing is very much like his, but it's much more fluid. So when he hit that 2-run home run late in the 9th yesterday, which is, by the way, the 4th time in his career where he's hit a game-tying or go-ahead home run in the 9th inning or later. So, like, dude has the clutch gene. And it was fantastic to see him welcome himself to Fenway in that way as well and come through in a game that the Red Sox certainly should have won. They didn't get any runs across. They had the bases loaded 3 times. And we're moving forward, but I do want to actually ask you this too, Julian, because I put an unofficial poll on Twitter, asked folks about the Nate Eaton non-send, who's in the 99th percentile in foot speed, didn't go against Colton Cowser, who obviously is a plus arm. That's what Alex said. They had predetermined before the contest that they weren't going to throw on him. But I bring this up again because we know over the course of 162 game season, there are these particular games where you feel like, okay, they let that one slip. Giving up runs late when you're up 5, past the 7th inning or later, they let that one slip, which happened earlier this year too. So it's like an accumulation of a season and the wins, and you're trying to push for this playoff positioning. Sometimes it could be the difference between 2 or 3 victories that you should have won that you let slip away. So what was your take on that play, just real quickly, as we go back and Hudson not sending Eden? They decided to predetermine that they weren't running on Cowser, and the Red Sox ended up losing in extras. And you could say, because they couldn't bring runs across. Bases loaded 3 times, no outs. Didn't get it done. But this was a pivotal play in that contest, and a lot of people were discussing it afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I felt like even
you didn't like the no sin.
No, at all. No, I didn't like. I didn't agree with what they did. I think they should have sent him. Right. I think in that situation, that part of the game. I mean, you did what you were supposed to do in moving the runner over to third base. Connor Wong got down the first great bunt of the season for the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Right. You got that run to third base, and then you got him at third base. You hit a pop, a fly ball, 265 feet, fine. But in that situation, hey, mano y mano, let's go. Right? Like it's okay. You got an arm. You're in the 95th percentile and 99th percentile running. Let's go. Let's see what you got. Like this is the reason why we brought you in this game to run, right? And this is the reason why Colton Cowser probably is their outfielder who they feel has the best arm. He does have the best arm, and could put them in a position where he can throw up a guy at first at home plate. Okay, let's see it, right? So if you're looking at it and you say, okay, Alex Bregman is a 300 hitter right now, right? And if you want to still put out numbers and value, okay, Alex Bregman is a 300 hitter, 302 give or take, 300 hitter. Colton Cowser sits in the 95th percentile and hit in throwing. Well, I don't know, what is it, velocity, whatever.
It's like he's topped like triple digits on his throws from the outfield before. So it is a plus arm, 100%.
But more times than not, the runner at third has an 80% chance of scoring on a sac fly, right? And so I think if you're playing the numbers, those are the numbers right there. But again, where's the feel, right? And Kyle Hudson, by the way, I think is one of the better third base coaches in baseball. He changed this team entirely on their base running, on their base run. Carlos Fables, I like him as a guy, but I mean, they were running in the outs when he was at third base coach toward the end of his tenure. Kyle Hudson, that rarely happens. He sees a game differently. I think he has the feel. And if this guy is one of the better third base coaches in baseball, why is this predetermined? You can't predetermine something. You cannot predetermine. Why do you have third base coaches if it's predetermined that you're not going to run on this guy for the entire? So what's?
And I think that was the biggest issue a lot of people had with it. The fact that those were the words that the manager said. We talked before the series. We decided we weren't going to challenge him. So the game dictates the moves is what people anticipated, right? Yeah.
Like challenge these guys. And I probably I can't see that coming from Alex as a former baseball player, right? I just can't see that, right? And if you're Nate Eaton, you are in the game to run, right? Right? You are in the game to run. The bunt got over. The bunt got you over. In that situation, you just got to send him because Bregman has a 3 out of 10 chance to get a hit. I like my chance of you scoring on that play versus Bregman getting a hit. As great of a hitter as he is, the numbers are the numbers, right? And you can't. And if you want to go off numbers, he has a 3 out of 10 chance to hit. I believe he had a better chance of 3 out of. I think the probability of him scoring was definitely higher than that.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see. We'll see if that's one of those Red Sox losses that come back to bite them. There's 34 games left in this season. Every win matters. Every one is important. And they need to probably be in the 90, 91, 92 win total to make sure to probably guarantee themselves a spot.
The gap is closing with everybody, Jahmai. It's like the city's 2 games behind. for a wild card spot. Cleveland is 3 games behind, right? You got the Seattle right there. You got the Red Sox right there.
Seattle right
Yankees
behind you.
So you never know, right? Like a bad weekend in September where you could be 3 games up, and then all of a sudden, now you get swept, and you go into a tiebreaker, or you're 2 games up, get swept. You see what I'm saying? It's like there's all these different things. I think this is going to come down to like the last parts of the season for all these teams because it's just so neck and neck. Even Toronto.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it. I'm not. It's not a
foregone conclusion that they're going to win. Yeah.
Win the division. I'm still not sold on that. Right. Mm-hmm. I think this is gonna come down to the wire, and it's gonna be an exciting into the season. Probably, thank God, more exciting than what we've seen around here the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. This has been exciting, and it took me a while to find this, but he was a right-handed hitter that you mentioned, and it was Garrett Cooper, the guy that I was thinking about. I'm just saying, like the swing path,
Man, dude, that dude was terrible, bro. Come on.
I'm just saying the swing path. It was reminiscent of the way Nathaniel Lowe swings. Also, a big first baseman, big body. So just a little bit of comp there, not much.
He's the worst suck. He was not a productive player.
I mean, struggle. He has struggled. He came from Chicago.
Yeah, I knew he was right-handed. And I was like, I'm like, right-handed? He's like, no, he's a lefty.
My brain was taking me back to a situation where I was on the first base side of the dugout. So his back was turned towards me. So I was like, yeah, he's lefty. But usually at Fenway, obviously, all the lefties faced it back towards me. But anyways, Garrett Cooper was the guy I'm thinking about. But Nathaniel Lowe, he's obviously been much better. And then, Cooper did have injuries. We're not going to completely take that out of consideration here. He had a tough start to his Red Sox tenure, and he was later released. But we mentioned a couple games ago that finale on the last night of the Jimmy Fund where the Red Sox had the bases loaded 3 times, compounded with the fact that in extras in the bottom half of the inning, they could have tied up the game, didn't decide to challenge Colton Cowser in center field. So Nathaniel Lowe was left on the base paths, and that's how the game ended after an Alex Bregman swing and a pop-up, to take the words out of our man Joe Castiglione. But the Red Sox, 3 for 19 with runners in scoring position. It has been not only a trend, but it has been this team's MO. And I want to get your take on that on the other side of the break, Julian, because this is something that needs to be addressed. And we're going to make you manager for a moment, see how we can figure this out. You're seeing, watching, and listening to 310 to the Left, presented by your New England Ford dealers. We'll be right back after this. Back here on 310 to the Left, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. Julian McWilliams here with us, Jahmai Webster, sitting in on 310 to the Left, and we're talking about the Red Sox 3 for 19 with runners in scoring position. Though they did win last night against the New York Yankees, but this is unsustainable baseball, in my opinion. You have to clear the ducks off the pond. You have to bring these runners across. How much of concern is this, Julian? It's something the Red Sox really have faced all year.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to they don't necessarily have a lot of slug in the lineup, right? And I think you don't have any guys. As one of the other guys said to me that play the Red Sox, he said there's really no traps beyond Roman and Bregman, and I think that's the issue there. And I think with especially Wilyer Abreu being on the IL, that takes away another impact bat. So I think Pete Fatsi and his group have done an excellent job over the years of being able to get the most out of guys, particularly guys like Romy Gonzalez, Rob Refsnyder, Dom Smith when he was here. I think Nathaniel Lowe is probably be one of those guys, so hopefully he can impact them in a way that's productive for the team. But yeah, that's something that they're going to have to figure out, Jahmai, because that if the Yankees sort of beat themselves in that game last night with the errors and obviously walking guys. They walked 9 guys, right? 4
Mm-hmm.
errors, 9 guys and 4 errors. That's not going to get the job done. And I know they came in late the night before because they had the extra inning game in Tampa, whatever. But it was just a very sloppy game overall, and the Red Sox had chances after chances to be able to put them away early in the game, and they didn't take care of that. The Yankees had chance after chance to put them away, and they didn't do that at the end of the game. So I think the lineup itself seems to be – it's a streaky lineup. That's just who they are, right? I think they're just a lineup that's going to have those low lows, and those low lows look really bad. And I think – it's you just hope for the Red Sox sake that they are able to put themselves in a position where those lows don't hit like in mid-September, right? Because there you have at that time you have a problem.
Yeah, and the Red Sox bullpen did come up. Lucas Giolito, he wasn't able to, do his usual 6, 7 innings of work that he had been consistently on the last few starts. So you saw Greg. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying Cora's managing totally differently now because you can tell always tell like in August around this time it sort of switches for him where he just doesn't give pitchers his starters this long leash if he doesn't see it if they have it. He's like, I'm going straight to the bullpen. He did that last night. But you go ahead.
Yeah, no, definitely. And his style has changed, and this is when, it's the nitty-gritty time on a season. So that has happened historically for him. But we did see solid performances from Greg Weiser. Came up in a big spot. Aroldis Chapman has continued to do that as well. And you know how he likes structure in his bullpen. You're getting Justin Slayton back healthy. I think that's his greatest tool, utilizing the bullpen. How much do you think that structure now emerging is going to help him going forward and the bullpen arms that he's been able to utilize? How do you think these guys are going to be able to handle those jobs?
Yeah, I think the bullpen is the trouble part for me, right? I think because they need Slayton back. They don't really have that many good right-handed relievers. All the really good relievers seemingly are, with the exception of Garrett Whitlock, are that right-handed haven't performed well. Jordan Hicks hasn't performed well. You can go down the list. I mean, Greg Weisert's sort of been up and down, though he looked a little bit better yesterday. So you look at that and you say, okay, who do they have to go to? And it's just all left-handed relievers, right? And I think that might be a reason why they might have to put somebody like a Walker Buehler in the bullpen because I don't think they have enough arms back there that can be able to get it done and shorten up the game the way it really needs to be shortened up. They're having to bring Chapman in at certain points in the game because to face the top of the Yankees order, or the Phillies order because they have their best guys and using him differently. So there have been a lot of moving pieces in that bullpen, but as you talk about, Jahmai, with really no structure, and I think it's in large part to guys them being undermanned, but also guys underperforming. Jordan Hicks, I mean, we saw him coming in the other night, and what did he do?
Yeah, he's a big one.
And that's a guy that he's gonna have to figure it out, man, because his stuff is electric, but he just can't seem to command. And I think that's the issue there. And then you end up putting stuff in the middle of the plate, and you end up getting hurt. These guys can all hit 100 miles per hour. It's all about where you hit it. Like even Aroldis Chapman, I think this year the reason why he's not getting hit is not because he throws 102. Yeah, that plays a part, certainly. Like if you throw 102, like that's better than throwing 89, right? But I think he's commanding the baseball. He's not walking guys. He's not putting himself in a position where he can get any damage done to him. So I think by minimizing the base on balls, getting strike one, then strike two, getting ahead in the count, that pays dividends. And I think the Red Sox, they're going to have to be able to piece that together for this home stretch of 34 games that you said are left.
All right, we will see what happens. We're on the home stretch of 3:10 left. Another short break. We'll come back right after this. Brought to you by your New England Ford dealers.
3:10 to left is presented by your New England Ford dealers who've been taking everyone out to the ball game at Fenway Park for decades. Catch Ford next time you're at Fenway, including in the Ford Clubhouse, a full-service bar perfect for bringing your lineup together and for recording our live edition of 3:10 to left. It's all brought to you by your New England Ford dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 48 years and the official truck of the Boston Red Sox.
That was a chair.
Back here on 3:10 to left. Brought to you by your New England Ford dealers. Julian just scared us. We thought, I don't know what was going on right now, man. I thought you had an accident. You just messed yourself or something, like Sherman Klump.
It was a chair. It was a chair. Hey, you know how like in middle school when the cherries the creek or something like that, people like that, and you try to recreate them to let them know.
That's what you just did. I was like, uh-oh, man, come on, a little flatulation, early morning flatulence. Wow, incredible. Well, we're glad that didn't happen, dude.
You catted out on me yesterday, man, and for that reason, you didn't get the George Costanza bobblehead.
Oh man, I'm sick about that. It was a nice giveaway yesterday. I did get the one last time though, where he was a traveling secretary for the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
So I collect bobbleheads. I enjoy them. So maybe they'll have one hanging around the booth later today when I get to the ballpark. But as we put a bow on this Red Sox Yankees, another 3 games left. Brian Bale versus Max Fried tonight. You mentioned Cora's short leash. You think Bale rises to the occasion? What are the expectations?
He pitches well here typically. And obviously Bale's been really good as of late. But I think the main thing with him, he's going to have to figure out a way to limit the walks because at some point that's going to come back to bite him. It hasn't really bit him this season. And I think he's sort of lucked out in that realm. He's pitched better. Certainly, I think he's been better about keeping his head on because last year he loses composure a lot, and maybe perhaps that's the reason why. So the base on balls, I think, is always going to be a little bit of a thing for him. But if he can command it, I think they have a good chance of pulling out tonight's game because Max Fried has not been pitching well as of late. And so perhaps this can be a time for the Red Sox to get their bats going, and what better to do it against a guy who is, typically seen as one of the better pitchers in the big leagues.
Yeah, and you talked about the Red Sox bullpen not having righties in there. Richard Fitz did get recalled. He was moved in there. He's thrown harder this year. Hasn't been working out as well as a starter because of some of the disjointed seasons that he's had with injuries and, other guys affecting his availability. But can he be an impact arm coming out of the pen for the Red Sox?
I think so. But I'm telling you, I think there's more of a lane for him to being seen as a starter in some cases, and Walker Buehler perhaps moving to the bullpen because you can't keep having these turns in the rotation. They've given him the ball every start, with the exception of the time he was on the IL, and he hasn't been able to get it done. But I mean, Richard Fitz, he's gotten it done in the past. He doesn't get much swing and miss, which is an issue sometimes. But I think. They're going to need something. I think this rotation beyond Garrett Crochet is a bunch of maybes, and but I'll include Brian Bale in there. But your 3, 4, and 5 guys, Dustin May, you don't know what you're going to get. The other Buehler, you don't know what you're going to get. So you just got to figure out a way to piece this thing together.
Yeah, and talking about his increased velocity, he's thrown 99. He's talked about his desire to throw 100. Still to this point in the year. So wherever they,
in the words of my friend Ken Rosenthal, how about just get strike 1 first?
Shout out to Kenny. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, just throw strike 1.
He's great with that. Yeah,
I felt like I was in an insane asylum with all these walks. I cannot take guys that walk people. On either side, like it doesn't. Luis Hill had like 5 walks, and I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody get me out of here. And the game was slow because of all the walks.
Yeah, I mean 3.5 hours because of all the walks. I mean, Gio did pitch into the sixth, and he'll as well, I
Did he?
believe. Did he? Or the fifth. But it's like to go that distance in the game to still be 3.5 hours. The factor was definitely the walk. So hopefully they limit the base on balls in game 2 here tonight that you can see on Nesson. And the Red Sox continue to maybe gain some momentum. I'll give you the last word real quick. We got 20 seconds left, Julian.
Let's get that chopped cheese together. You know, Jahmai, come on.
All right, so that's the post game snack. Find us in Harlem, here in New York.
David's first chopped cheese was made in the Bronx. It was in Harlem.
All right, let's go. 31011 brought to you by New England Ford Dealers and F-Series, America's best-selling truck for 48 years, the official truck of the Boston Red Sox. Thanks for doing this, and thank you, Julian, for being here, CBS Sports National Baseball Writer. We'll see you guys next time.